So my name is Dan. I'm the Director for Learning4Life Coaching and Development. I'm about to go live on the Prosperity Show. And today's podcast is just about my learnings, how I share, and how I can help you live your best life.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, the number one place to learn how the inside-out approach to leadership can change your career, team, and life. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got an amazing guest joining us. Now, DanThy, how are you doing today?
I'm good today, Prosper. How are you?
Absolutely. Now, I'm really excited for what we're about to jump into today, because DanThy is the director of Learning4Life Coaching and Development. And if the name sounds nurturing, wait until you hear her story. But before we dive in to this very exciting episode, have you ever had, maybe if you're watching this right now, a celebrity crush that is so real that you almost joined a reality show just so you could meet them? Well, today's guest, DanThy Nguyen, might just be Australia's most inspirational leadership coach, and also the unofficial president of the Adam Levine fan club. Now, she just doesn't talk about leadership. She just doesn't talk about leadership and everything else that comes along with it, or coaching or development. She actually lives it. So from her navigating the corporate corridors to empowering teams with clarity, confidence, and connection, Dan just helps individuals and organizations grow beyond surface level success. And we're going to be talking about her journey, her aha moments, the systems that she uses to help people like you thrive, and also the unexpected path that has led her to this exact mission. And I promise it's not all about spreadsheets and motivational quotes. There's going to be humor, a bit of Adam Levine singing and dancing, because that's what Dan promised earlier, and even some hidden connection to her childhood and the leadership frameworks that she uses today. So buckle up and engage with this conversation by commenting below when something hits home. We just want to hear your voice too. Now, Dan, I could go on and talk about things that I'm not even qualified to talk about. I got a question. If Adam Levine walked in right this moment, would you freeze, faint, or would you offer him a coaching lesson?
I would just say hello and connect with him as a person. He's a person too, right? I believe as humans, we're all connected.
I love that. I love that. Obviously, so many people would maybe go for the freeze option because they're all starstruck and things of that nature. But I love how you got us started to that. But speaking of starting, let's maybe go back to the start. What is it that drew you into coaching and leadership development?
Well, my aha moment was when I didn't know what I wanted to do for myself as a career. And I put my hand up to do a training course. And when I did the training course and the trainer was actually going through the course with me, I just went, that's what I want to do. I want to help people, because our purpose in life is to serve others. And we can serve other people in different ways. So for me, serving others was to help coach and to develop people, because to help them give the tools to do their jobs better.
Absolutely. And not a lot of people would see something like that, even if it hits them with a ton of bricks. You must have been prepped for it. If somebody is given an opportunity to learn from another person and then they see themselves in that person, there must have been something that was going through you at that particular moment. Could you just maybe paint a picture of what your work was and what your job was at that particular time?
At that particular time, I was working in superannuation for small businesses, and I was actually a senior administrator. So I actually was training new people or training people to actually do what I was doing to become, more advanced and more senior in their roles. So because I was doing that and helping people advance in their career, I thought when I went to the training course, I thought I could do this like full time. I could actually help more people by becoming someone who can actually train others, who can coach others, who can develop others to help them to move on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for opening us up with that. Now, you did mention that you didn't know what you wanted to do with your career, but you obviously have started us with this position in superannuation. Was that something that just came along as you were going through, or was there any deliberation that had happened, for you to get to this position?
It's funny because when I finished university, I applied for a role in an organization and just thought, I don't even know what the role is. I thought it was customer service where you answer telephone calls because that's what they pitched it at me was. I went, yeah, I can do that. I can answer phone calls and I can help people, right? But when I got interviewed and I actually got the role, I was in a group accounting role for superannuation, but balancing figures and ledgers, superannuation ledgers, and figures are not my forte. So I'm sitting there doing this job thinking, how did I get this job? Why am I doing this job? But I found that once I did it, I was learning how to clean up a lot of the ledgers because there was a lot of mistakes and there were a lot of misplaced contributions and things like that. And I ended up doing a lot of cleaning up, building better relationships with agents because we had some agents who didn't get good service from other customer service staff before, so they were not very positive with me. But I ended up cleaning up a lot and doing a lot that my team leader went, wow, you're actually doing more than I thought you'd be able to do. And then 3 months into that role, though, the company, as all big corporates do, they do a restructure. And as part of the restructure, we actually had to reapply either for our current role or a different role. So I went, oh crap, I might not have a job. So I actually applied for 2 roles. So the first role was also still a figures-based role, so statistics-based role. And the second role was the superannuation role. And I went, that's something I could do, something different, but I need to apply and see what happens. And when I applied, I got an interview for both roles, but then I picked the superannuation role. And then HR spoke to me and said, hey, you were interviewed and you were offered that role. Why have you gone for another role? I said, because I wanted to see if I could do something different and I actually like this role better. So they went, okay, that's fine. So I actually went to the superannuation role and I ended up liking that role better and being able to launch into training because of what I was doing. So it was probably a good decision.
Absolutely, absolutely. And obviously there was a lot of learning that would have happened in there. You walked into a place, discovered, oh, numbers are not my forte, but you actually ended up knowing a thing or two about the things that you're doing. But there's a certain thread in what you're talking about, and it's all about connecting, and you're connecting with other human beings and things of that nature. Could you maybe elaborate as to why this is important and why this is sort of center stage to the success that you later on achieved?
Well, the connection, because regardless of your title or regardless of where you are in an organization, if you connect with a person, you actually help them learn and you're continuously learning as well. Because as humans, we never stop learning. So I spoke to a psychologist and she said the only time we stop learning is when we're dead.
Mm.
So we learn from all sorts of people. So even though I may be training or coaching somebody, I'm also learning from them. because
Mm.
whatever life experience they have or whatever scenarios that I'm coaching them through, I use that when I come across somebody else who might have that similar experience and can use, what I've learned there as well. So connecting with somebody, you actually connect with them as a human being. You understand why they're doing what they're doing. You understand why they want to learn what they're learning, and you actually help them as a person achieve their goals and their outcomes.
Absolutely. It's because I viscerally believe we're here to live, to learn, and to contribute. In order for you to live the best life, you need to have learned how to do that.
Exactly.
Maybe your health, your wealth, what you eat, and all that stuff. We need to learn, and in order for you to then be able to contribute, is just passing on those lessons that you've learned. And if you haven't been doing the learning side of things, you've got nothing really to contribute. And that really syncs well with what you're saying there. But have you ever noticed, maybe a lot of leaders think, yeah, they're doing just fine, maybe up, with whatever knowledge that they have. We've always done things like this up until
Mm.
burnout and misalignment hits. What are some of the pain points that your clients usually experience before they find you?
Well, a lot of them tend to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. Isn't that the quote from Einstein? Insanity
Yes, insanity.
is the
Yeah.
definition. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And I spoke to, and especially with emerging leaders and younger leaders, they don't get the support. Like they get all the technical knowledge and they get all the training, but it's that coaching that really helps them excel in the first 12 months. Because if they don't have the support in that first 12 months, but from somebody, that's where it makes or breaks their career. Because a lot of emerging leaders have the technical knowledge, but they don't have the people knowledge and they don't have that support there. So I remember coaching one of the younger leaders, and he said, because I've done DISC accreditation and we talked about DISC and communication styles and leadership styles, and he's standing there going, I've been told I've got a dominant style. I don't like the fact that I've got a dominant style. And I said, but that's great that you have a dominant style, because then you know how people are reacting to your leadership or your communication style, and you can pivot or adapt so that you can actually have a different communication style. And he didn't even think of it that way. He just didn't like the fact that he was dominant. But we can adjust and flex and pivot once we know our style. And that's what I was, coaching him through. And then he also, one of the other things that I coached him through, he was saying, because they have to perform, they have, goals, they have, productivity, output and things like that they had to do, because it was a sales team. And he goes, I just really love the fact that, we motivate each other, and we're supposed to achieve these goals, and have a bit of competition with each other, but there are some people who just don't want to do that and don't want to get involved. And I said, can I share something with you? And he said, yes. And I said, well, some people may not like to be that competitive, because think about their personal life, or maybe when they were at school. If some of these people had those tiger mums or those parents that kept pushing and pushing and pushing them to do well and to do better, and they had to be the best, they get to work and they're getting the same thing. They're like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to be able to do my job and do it well. Can you just let me do my job? And he said, oh, I didn't even think of it. I didn't even think of that.
Mm.
So
You know,
unless you're a parent, that's why my life experience comes into my coaching. So because being a parent, I can actually give that experience. I've spoken to a coach who was younger, and someone said, oh, what happens with your kids? I'm like, oh, well, I don't have kids, so I can't relate to you there. And you've just missed a coaching opportunity.
right, right. And
So I believe your life experience really helps you with your coaching and really helps you with that connection. I mean, I won't have everybody's life experience. I won't have every type of experience that everybody has, but I've had a lot of life experience across different things. And like I said, I feel like I've walked through hell and back in my life as well. So that's helped me with that compassion, the empathy, and, understanding and relating from my point of view. I won't understand everybody's situation and circumstance, but I can say, look, what I can share is this. This is how I can relate to your situation. And we can actually coach from there. it's connecting as a person, because we all are going through something, you know, and we don't always talk about what we're going through, and we don't always know what someone's going through. And someone who turns up happy and smiling every day, like I was doing, they did not know what I was going through, right? You've got to dress up, show up every day, regardless of what's going on in your life. Now, people will see me happy and can't believe what I went through, and they don't believe that what I look like is someone who went through what they went through. And it's like, but you don't know what people went through. You look at Robin Williams. He was a comedian, and yet he suffered depression, and then he killed himself. You know, Heath Ledger, he was an actor, and he was, you know, this really great person, and he suffered depression and he killed himself. Keanu Reeves suffered depression. He only just opened up about it now. Did any of us know that? No, because depression is not something that people fake, but they will fake being okay. And that's what we do. We fake being okay because of all the stuff we've gone through, and that helps us build our strength, our resilience, if we have the right support and the right people around us. Because I've been where they've been, where I have been to the point where I've gone, you know what? I think I want to end it all. I'm done. I got to that stage last year. And it's the first time I've been like that since I was a teenager. And I had I told you, good friends that I count on one hand. They rang me when I called out for help, and they said, don't do it. Do not do it. It's not worth it. And they stopped me. It's the closest I ever got, because I actually even looked up how to do it. I never got that far before.
Wow. And thank you so much for taking us there, because obviously it's one of those things that you're absolutely right. So many people will be showing up to a world, yet they're burning on both ends, and
Yeah.
it's things like that. But you are now using this personal challenge that you overcame, and you're now using it as a coaching tool, because now you
Yes.
can step in with that sort of empathy. Could you maybe let us know, how maybe this, for some people, they say that certain things are given to you so you can literally utilize them. Do you view this as one of those instances, or?
Yeah, for me, a lot of people go, why is this happening to me? For me, because I mean, coaches need coaches too. So I've had an energetic healing coach. I've had, therapists, I've had counselors, I've had other types of coaches based on my life experience. And it's about reframing your thoughts and saying, life is happening for you, not to you. Like I said to you, where I am in my life right now is not where I thought I would be, but I feel like it's exactly where I'm meant to be, even though it doesn't look anything like what I thought it would be.
Absolutely. Now, with that being said, is there sort of maybe any external pressure? Like you did mention, tiger sort of parents or things of that nature, that because some people, fish don't see the water that they swim in. And half of the time when people are within certain circles, then
Yeah.
they will start having, instances or statements like you just said, that my life shouldn't look like this. According to who?
Exactly. And that's what I say, because I said, if it makes me happy or it makes you happy, it doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. Right. And at the moment, I don't have what I thought I needed to be happy. I've got boxes of stuff only. I've got what's in my bedroom, and that's all I have. And I'm like, I'm happier than I've ever been. It's not been easy, trust me. I've been through a lot. And what I feel is that we need to unlearn social conditioning, family conditioning, and cultural conditioning, because we are pushed to say, what's successful? what does success mean to you, right? Success means different things to different people. To me, it's not about climbing the corporate ladder. To me, it's not about having money and good cars. To me, it's not about material things. To me, success is I'm happy. I'm happy with who I am and where I am and what I've done to get where I am today, right? Yes, I might not be living in this palatial mansion. Yes, I might not be driving a great car, but I have a car that gets me from A to B. I have my health. I say your health is your wealth. If you don't have your health, if COVID's taught us anything, if you don't have your health, you cannot do anything, right? So for me, looking after myself, self-love, time to nourish my body properly, time to exercise, time for my mental health, time to just get out in nature, time to just rest when I need to rest, they're more important for me. Because if I don't look after myself, who's going to look after me for me? And I say, if I don't pour into myself and make sure my cup is overflowing, I can't help anybody else. It's like putting the mask on in the airplane. You've got to put your mask on first before you put it on for someone else.
Absolutely. So that whole charade that they show us in the plane, that's actually life advice. It's not just we are going to
Definitely.
arrive in Sydney in an hour.
Yeah. And I say that to people. I say, pour into your cup. And as when you're parents and you're all about your children, you forget about yourself. You prioritize everyone else and your kids except for you. And it's like, when you're happier, your children are happier. When you're happier, the family's happier. When you're happier, everything else is better for you, regardless of what that looks like to anybody else. And in my book, I wrote, what other people say about me is none of my business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, with what you're saying and how you are showing up in the world, Dan, somebody like yourself would obviously be rugged up, warming up, saying, you know what? I've had my part. I've done what I'm doing. My question now is, why are you now showing up in the world trying to help others instead of you just saying, I've received my message. Now I'm just going to leave and heal.
Well, I've done my healing. And because I've done my healing, I feel that's how I can help other people. Because when you've gone through what I've had days where I couldn't even get out of bed, Prosper. I didn't want to get out of bed, but I did. I got up, I got dressed, I showed up, and I got out in the day. But there are days where I didn't get out of bed until, like, I'm an early bird, so I'll get up at 5, 6 in the morning. But the days when I couldn't get out of bed until like 9 a.m., they were my bad days. But those tools that I use to get myself out of bed, that's what I can share with other people.
All right. So sometimes some people might just think, I think there's a statement in Australia, nah, she'll be all right, mate. And I think I've said that earlier, and they might not see the early warning signs that, things, the train is about to derail, only when then they get to that position where they hopefully the person they're calling is somebody who's going to tell them the right thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. How do people start seeing those check engine light signals around them?
They can be very subtle because when someone starts to withdraw, like you'll be messaging, you'll be ringing them, and they go, look, I can't deal with this right now. I don't want to talk to you. Can you not ring me? But usually they're actually quite social, and or you make plans with them and they keep cancelling at the last minute, or they don't want to go out anymore, or they don't want to do all the normal things that usually make them happy. Because I was like that. I stopped doing, I've had a lot of heartbreak in the last 2 years. I can get emotional, but I'll try not to. But one of the heartbreak that I had is my dog was attacked in August last year. I had to give up my dog, which I have had for almost 5 years, and he was the only family I had after what I went through. And for 6 months, I grieved my dog because he was my fur baby. I had him since he was 2 months old. And he was the last part of my family that I lost. And I withdrew, I isolated. I didn't want to talk to anyone for ages. I didn't even want to do the normal things that I usually did. And one of my neighbors, she messaged me, I think it was towards the end of the 6 months, and said, hi, we haven't seen you for a while. Because I usually go out and I talk to my neighbors, and, I'm actually quite chatty when I'm okay. She goes, we haven't seen you for like ages. Are you okay? Just to hear someone check in on me that I didn't know that well was like, oh my God, somebody noticed. So it's those little things that you notice about someone. And if someone rings you and you can see that they're emotional or you feel it from them, just be there for them. Just you don't even have to do anything. You just have to go, I'm here for you. If you need me, if you need someone to just cry with, if you need someone to just listen to be an ear, you need someone to just be there, come and see you, I will be there. That's it. And I've been through that. For 6 months, I did nothing except get up, stay in my apartment, go out and do what I had to do, come home. That's all I did. I didn't talk to anybody. I was antisocial, and that's not me. And because I was also away from my friends, I was living further away. My friends couldn't actually come to me, but I had some really good neighbors. And one of my neighbors actually gave me a gift when I left and said, oh my God, I'm going to miss you. I hope we get good neighbors like you. And I've been there for 18 months and I'd already built that connection with her and her family. And I said, thank you so much. I said, look, we'll keep in touch. And, when I'm up there again, I'll visit you. Or she also, has her family in Sydney and a business in Sydney. And I said, well, we can catch up in Sydney. So that's why I say connection is so important, because as humans, during COVID, we saw what happened when people were unable to connect, especially like the elderly, grandparents not being able to connect with their grandchildren, parents not being able to connect with their children. That connection, that human connection, we all crave it. Whatever it looks like, however it needs to be, it doesn't need to make sense to anybody else. And that is so important. That's what we're here to do, to connect with other people.
Absolutely. And with what you have experienced and who you've become, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about leadership? Because maybe some people might think, oh, if somebody's showing up to work like that, maybe we shouldn't engage in, their private affairs. We just want them to be working. And how can a leader show empathy while still being professional?
One thing is, do it privately, because if you can sense somebody's not their usual self, just say, hey, do you mind if I just have a word with you? Do you have 5 minutes? And if they say no, say, oh, can I just schedule in some time with you maybe later today? Is that all right? Or, can I schedule some time with you tomorrow? I said, I'm just would like to have a conversation. Nothing serious. It's nothing about your work. I just want to touch base with you as a person. And sometimes when you do that, at least they think, oh, okay, my leader wants to talk to me. They might be worried because they might think, oh, it's something about my work. Because, but if you let them know it's not, and then you talk to them and say, look, I've just noticed this. I've observed that you're just not your usual self. Is everything okay? I said, look, you don't have to let me know if you don't want to. If it's private, that's okay. But there are employee assistance programs, there are counsellors, there are therapists, and you refer them to services that they might help. But you cannot make them do anything. You can't make them go to these counselling services. You cannot make them, contact these places if they don't do it themselves. But you can at least refer them to the services available. I've had friends where I've gone, especially males don't talk to people about their problems like females do. When we feel injured or we actually come together and we help each other, right? And we talk. And when we need to kind of like withdraw we go to a female or a few females that we know we can trust. Whereas males don't tend to do that. Males are told, like you said, just suck it up. You're a male. You don't cry. You don't talk about it. It's like, no, males have the same emotions that we do. We all have the same emotions, whether we're male or female. And someone who's depressed or anxious, it's an intense emotion. And that's what I say. It's an emotion. Express it. Let somebody know. Professional services, they're there to help you. Because if you don't look after your mental health, it manifests as physical health. And that's worse.
Let me imagine. Now, if somebody's watching this, Dan, and they're thinking, I'm not a leader, so this is probably not for me, and they're probably wanting to look for the next video in their, discovery, feed there, what would you say to them?
We all have to be a leader in our own life, right? Because our life, whatever we think, whatever we create, becomes our reality. So if you don't lead in your life and you want a certain life or certain things to happen, who makes it happen? You can't sit there and go, God, the universe, I want this. Can you please give it to me? It doesn't work that way, does it? What happens is God or the universe, because I'm spiritual and I still believe in God, but I always say the universe gives us no more than what we can handle. But the universe also gives us opportunities and people that come into our life to help us help ourselves. So unless you receive those opportunities and receive those people in your life and learn, like you said, as a leader, we're continuously learning. As a leader, we're always learning. And if we don't take those opportunities to learn, we can't move forward. We can't progress because everything's a cycle and everything's temporary. So for me, I've made some glorious mistakes. Trust me, glorious mistakes, but I've learned from them. And that's the whole point of mistakes. And that's the whole point of it, is that we learn. Once we learn, we can move forward. And that's how I feel from my learnings and from my life. When I share and when I coach with other people, it helps them move forward as well.
I can imagine. Yeah, the learnings that we learn is from other people's experiences, and if we're lucky enough, our own experiences, which then showcases to us what not to do, and maybe examples of things of that nature. Now, maybe you can tell us a moment where a client of yours might have surprised you, even with just their growth. Somebody might be watching this and thinking, but maybe I'm not as spiritual, I'm not as educated as Dan is. Does this actually work on humans? What is it that shifted for your client that, might have actually surprised you?
It is just the fact that when they can talk about something that's happening in their life, and because often we will gravitate to what we do out of habit. So when we gravitate to what we do out of habit, we will continue to do the same thing or continue to think, if I do it this way, or if I've done it this way before and it worked, let's do it again that way. It's sometimes someone else coming in and shifting your mindset and asking you to think about it in a different way, in a different perspective, that you go, oh, I didn't think about it that way. And then it makes you pause. So when we pause before we act, the neurons in our brain get disrupted, and then we can actually create new neural pathways. So once you disrupt the patterns and the habits for people, the new neural pathways start. So for me, because a lot of us, and we know in Sydney, we're like, go, 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 go. It's that, mentality that we just keep going, but if we just stop and we pause, because one of my coaches said that, just when you are feeling like that, pause. And when I've paused and I've stopped and I've listened to myself, I usually make the right decision. But when I keep going and going and going, and I'm not listening, and I keep doing the things that I keep doing and it's not working, it's like the universe keeps teaching us that same lesson, but we're not doing anything differently. So once we do things differently, and I've on my LinkedIn, I've put, and on my coaching page, my 11 philosophies for life. Until we do things differently, until we change what we do, things won't change. So when we change what we're doing, then things will change.
You mentioned people in Sydney, go, 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 go.
It's that rat race.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys manage to do that with all those narrow roads. I've tried to.
I think we're just used to it.
Absolutely. Now, you've worked with a range of clients. What sort of industries or personalities benefit the most with what you've got to offer?
I would say the people who benefit are the people who are open to receiving and open to learning. Because no matter how long you've been in a role or how long you've done something, there's always something we don't know. There's always something new that we can learn. And you can learn from anybody, right? Regardless of whether they're older than you, younger than you, or the same age. We can learn. And I say we learn a lot from children, and children are the best teachers because often they've got no filter and they have learned things that we didn't learn when we were in school. But yet we've learned things from experience that they don't know yet. So that's how we learn from each other.
Absolutely. I like that. And if somebody's watching this and they may be ready for change, but they probably don't know where to start, first of all, let us know where on the internet they can be able to find you to maybe engage with your services, and what is one powerful action that they can actually take today?
Well, with change is the only constant that we have in life. Like, think about change as in your life, you have to grow up from a child to a teenager. Being a teenager ain't fun. Going through puberty isn't fun, is it? That's a whole lot of change that we didn't ask for, but we get through it, right? If you have to change jobs, if you have to move house, like I've had like so many times in my life, pack up and move and change into different suburbs and connect with different people, we think about, oh my God, this is happening at work, all this change is happening, they don't like it. No, we often don't like the change, but sometimes once we just embrace the mess, like I am with my life at the moment, once we learn to embrace the mess and realize that change is necessary and change is temporary, when we get to the new normal, it'll feel like nothing has ever really changed because it becomes the new normal. So everything's temporary. Feeling uncomfortable is fine because I feel uncomfortable all the time. I've been a change manager and I've gone into lots of different projects and organizations and I've had to learn things from scratch. But it's part of life. Change is the only thing that if you think about your life, that you actually deal with every single day.
Absolutely. And where can people go to on the internet to find you there, Dan?
Well, at the moment, I have a website. I'm getting it refreshed because it's not really reflective of me at the moment, but it's learning4life.com.au. But I also have an Instagram handle at learning4life_coach, which I've got a lot of my learnings and a lot of things that I do, and I do children's yoga and I do life and leadership coaching and development. The reason why I do children's yoga, which I haven't put the video on yet, is because children are our future leaders, and teaching children yoga, it's the fundamental values, safe touching, boundaries, consent, the values, the fundamentals, helps them to become better humans and better leaders.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below and the links that you've just given us there. Now, Dan, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value, and you are also contributing, like we've mentioned, helping others be, do, and have, a happier existence. But what's next? What's next for you? Any projects, events, programs that you're excited about?
Oh, there's a few things I've got going. If you check out my personal Instagram handle, you will see there's a few things I've got going. I do, yeah. I like to do lots of different things that are different facets of my personality. We wear different hats, and there's different parts of my personality that at this moment I'm talking about as a coach living your best life. Now, I can't coach people living their best life if I don't live my best life. So I've been living my best life. It doesn't look like what I thought it would look like, but I'm doing things differently. I'm getting right outside my comfort zone, doing podcasts, doing, interviews, I'm actually, starting to be, starting a modeling career. I'm, doing all these different things that I've never done before. And I'm like, you know what? You've got to start somewhere. And it's never too late to do something different and to do something that, for me, living your best life is doing thing that lights your soul on fire. If it doesn't light your soul on fire, that's why we get burnout. That's why we get anxious. That's why we get depressed, because what we're doing doesn't align with who we are.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for what I now think you've just given us permission, because so many people, like you said, especially men, are just walking around wearing a mask and hoping society just accepts them for who they are. And
being authentic and being real is how you connect with people. So if I can, I say, if I can shine my light, then it enables others to shine also. It doesn't take away from mine, but it allows other people to be authentic and to be their true selves as well.
Absolutely. Have you seen how people light a candle from another candle? It doesn't take away the flame from the receiving
That's right.
candle. Or
And
the
that's what I find with leaders is they forget that, because a lot of leaders will bully, a lot of leaders will, let go of people because they think that they're showing them up. But no, no, no. When you have people in your team who are doing well, it reflects well on you. And that's what a lot of leaders forget. And I've been bullied and I've been, let go and things like that because the leader's got, oh my God, she's understood this in 6 months, but I've been doing this for 2 years. It's like, yeah, but I've got a wealth of experience and projects and industries and frameworks and, things that I've learned. That's why I've applied it here. And when I come in as an external, you see things that someone internal doesn't see.
because
That's the difference.
fish don't see the water that they swim in.
Exactly. And
Mm.
so when I come in, I go, what about this? Why? And then I collaborate and I get people together and I get people to talk to each other and then I set it all up and then I can go because I set it up and then you run with it.
Absolutely. If you're watching this right now and if Dan has already dropped a truth bomb that hit you in the gut, or maybe reminded you of someone who needs to hear this, why don't you tag them right now? Don't keep this wisdom to yourself, because so many of us are just walking around and hoping somebody would hear us. Whereas there's people like Dan who have, walked the walk and now they're talking the talk. And I can't thank you enough for the time that you spend with me, Dan.
And thank you so much for your time. And I have a book as well. So please check out amazon.com.au because part of my life story is there and it's only part one. There'll be more. So it's called
Absolutely.
Letting Go, a story of change and transformation. So have a look.
Great stuff. I will also put the link to that book in the show notes here. And I think you've just reminded us that true leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's just about asking better questions and showing up with
Definitely.
empathy and just really creating those ripple effects, of growth in everybody that we come across. So thank you.
You're
And for those
welcome.
that are watching right now, if you've ever felt like an imposter or maybe like your team isn't reflecting your full potential, I think this is your sign. Don't let your gift stay buried. Okay, reach out to Dan. I will put all the links in the show notes so that you can connect with her, because your growth and the journey that you're on doesn't have to be walked alone. There's people that have already walked that path and already have the answers that you might be looking for, in your growth. And if this episode got you thinking, wait until next week, where we're going to be talking about ideas that can lead to an even happier existence. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and I urge you to stay on purpose. Bye for now.